And happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It is day 25, so welcome back to the boot camp. And I just wanted to say, guys, whatever you're going through on this Monday, on this week, whatever circumstances, whatever situations, whatever challenges are preventing themselves, just know that God's got you. He's always there. He's always waiting for you to tap in. And I'm praying for you. You should pray for you. And if you do those things, guys, it's going to be okay. And even if it doesn't end up okay, you're still going to make it through. You're still going to make it out alive, God willing. So just remember, guys, whatever God has for you in this process, in this world, He is not going to let anything stop that. No man, no situation, no circumstance is going to come in between God's mission for you and it happening in reality. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's lock in on the here and now. Let's do our best to go ahead and put every ounce of energy into getting better today and locking in on this process. Today's lesson is going to be around seeing more setups and taking less trades. Kind of counterintuitive, but as we know, a lot of this stuff is very counterintuitive. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So in yesterday's lesson, we discussed a variety of different entry models, right? We taught you how to enter a 2022 model. We taught you how to use IFEGs for entries, and we even went over the top and bottom ticking model, the turtle soup, as well. So at this point, it should be very clear to you guys on how to go from a blank chart with nothing on it to having a daily bias, intraday bias, and then a lower time frame entry. And a lot of you are already starting to take these entries as well, just off of yesterday's lesson. So I'm happy that there's breakthrough. I'm happy that you guys are starting to see more setups, but with that comes an additional challenge. With that comes the next stage of the learning curve, and that is seeing more setups but taking less trades, right? Before, when you were just learning how to identify the setups, it was very easy not to take that many trades because you would very rarely see the setup and you'd very rarely be able to identify it fast enough to actually trade it in real time. But as you go through the charts, as you start back testing, forward testing, taking demo trades, live trades, you are going to start to notice there will come a time where you're seeing a lot of setups. Where it used to just look like chop to you, where it used to just look like random highs and lows, you are now going to see every high and low. You're going to see every fair value gap. You're going to see every little market structure shift, every little order block. So in order to not get overwhelmed, we must filter. We must develop a process for deciding which setup might be valid. Yes, it might play out. Yes, it is a valid setup, but it is not your A-plus setup. It is not your bread and butter. And as we know in trading, it is a game of mastery, it is a game of repetition, and it is a game of simplicity. So you don't want to be taking every single setup, you only want the best setups. And guys, you've seen on my story, sometimes I'll only take 3 to 4 trades a month, and I'm more profitable than I've ever been before, where I used to take 4 or 5 trades a day. And I was still profitable then, but I'm even more profitable now, and my days are 2 times shorter, and they're also 10 times less stressful because I'm not going up, down, up, down, up. I'm just going on a slow trajectory up. Maybe there's a few bumps in the road, but ultimately I'm going up because I am being selective. I'm being a sniper and not a machine gun operator. And that approach works very well for this model and for this style of trading. So how do we go about doing this? How do we avoid the temptation to FOMO in when it is a valid setup, but it is not your A-plus setup? Well, this only comes through experience. This only comes from taking those setups and figuring out which ones play out better and which ones don't, which ones give you the best stats and which ones don't. And that all has to be collected through you following the process, taking the trades, journaling them, and then looking back and seeing what setup do I have the highest win rate with? What setup do I have the highest RR? You might notice when going through your journal like, oh, whenever we tap into a daily level and then it gives me the 2022 model, that setup I have a 90% win rate, and that setup I also have an average win of 4R. And then you might look at, okay, whenever I take a 15-minute level that presents an IFEG, maybe I have an average of a 7R, and maybe I have a win rate of 95%. And then maybe if I take an order block, maybe I have a 50% win rate that only gives me a 2R. Well, we obviously know within your model, you need to either focus on those IFEGs for the 15 minute, or you need to focus on the daily level that sweeps with the 2022 model. So you only really start to discover this when you have a big enough sample size to actually make those calls. Up until then, you don't necessarily have enough data to make that call. So if you just reach this process and you're still discovering what that A+ setup is, I would go ahead and start to categorize the setups. So whenever you take a 2022 model, journal it. If you're only focusing on turtle soup, obviously only trade that model and journal it as well. The only difference is now you're paying attention to the intraday level, the daily level. If you notice, you're always winning turtle soups when you take it off a 4-hour level, and you're always losing when you take it off a 15 level, then you know that's probably your model to take it off the 4-hour level, and you can hone in on only taking those setups and focusing your journaling on mastering that. And this is where you start to become very, very deadly in the market, because you can get in, get out, extract what you need, and the market has very little opportunity to take it from you. You are not staying at the table to play. You are disobeying the number one rule of the casino, which is keep them playing. That is the market's goal. The market's goal is to keep you in there as long as possible with the most exposure possible. By taking this approach of being selective, you are keeping your exposure to a minimum, but when you are going in, you're absolutely taking down a monster move, or you're getting a quick move that gives you a massive risk to reward. So this is the beauty of this strategy. This is a beauty of being a sniper versus being a machine gun operator. You can get in, get out, pain-free, and go ahead and make your money for the month, and then you could just chill for the rest of the month. Obviously, it's not always going to come at the beginning of the month, end of the month, so patience plays a big part in this process. However, the main goal is to get you to a point where you've seen enough okay setups, you've seen enough bad setups, you've seen enough good setups, you've seen enough great setups, and you've seen enough excellent setups. And at that point, you have the experience, the data, and the process to decide, okay, I'm only going to take excellent setups, or I'm only going to take great setups or better. No okay setups, no good setups, only great setups or better. So this is where the discipline really starts, guys. You had discipline before because you weren't seeing that many setups. So it was very easy to sit out because you couldn't see them. Now that you're seeing setups all the time, you may even see multiple setups within one move. It is now even more tempting to FOMO in because you're actually seeing what's happening. But that does not mean you can execute every single setup consistently. So it's a paradox. It makes you think that you can always get money in every move and every setup, but in reality, the execution is a far different process. So this is where your second layer of discipline builds. Like I said, first you were sitting out of trades because you didn't know what was going on. Now you're sitting out of trades because you know how to rate trades from bad, good, great, and excellent. And now you have the experience to actually filter out the good to get to the great. And obviously there will be different extremes. Not all of you guys have to only take 4 trades a month. I have the capital for that. I have enough accounts to where that can actually work and pay my bills and do all this stuff. But you might settle on 8 trades a month. You might settle on, oh, I can only take a maximum of 1 trade per day, or maybe it's 3 trades a week. Whatever frequency is up to you and what you decide is your A+ setup. But for me personally, it's working very, very well doing 3 to 4 trades a month. So I wanted to make this video just to address those of you who are hitting me up like, yo, bro, it's weird. I'm seeing so many setups, but now my FOMO is worse. Now I have less discipline. Now I really want to make money more because I see more opportunities. And guys, just know not all money is good money. Whenever you're about to take a setup like that, just ask yourself, can I repeat this setup 100+ times? Or am I really just trying to be in every move? And a lot of the times the answer will be no, you can't repeat it 100 times. I need to study it more. I need to take more practice trades with lower leverage before I could start taking every single setup. So develop a filtering process. You only do that by collecting these examples. Go back to the journaling video or the other video where I discuss setup logs if you haven't already watched those. And that's going to tell you everything you need to know on how you should be storing these examples. How do you capture these examples? How do you annotate them? All of that good stuff. But take with this what you will, guys. If you're seeing more setups, that's great, but you have to develop filtration processes, because seeing more setups means you should take less trades. So comment down below what you think of this video, guys. Comment down below what you learn, and also comment day 25 complete. And in the next lesson, we're going to be going over how to adapt when your strategy stops working. What do you do when your strategy just seems like it doesn't work? Seems like your setup is not even forming. What do you do? That will be discussed in the next lesson. So take care, everybody. Have a blessed night, and I will see you in the next one.